All right. Hello there, friends, and welcome back to Imagine with Royce. Today, I thought it would be really fun to draw some original characters from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So, who better to start out with than Mr. Dopey? Dopey is the first mute character, I believe, made by a Disney animator. Dopey's really fun, and you know what? He's really simple. So, for those that like to use these videos as tools to learn, always remember start with the circle and then divide wherever you want your character to be looking. So, in this particular instance, I want Dopey looking straight ahead. And then we're going to draw where his eye line is, just right around here. And then I'm actually going to start with Dopey just by giving him his little button nose, just like so. And remember, this does not have to be perfect. Right now, all we're doing is graphing in the basic shapes. And this is where people always are like, you should teach people how to draw. And I always tell people that say that drawing, it's just one of those tools where you really, yes, there are basics that I believe can be taught, but just like my teacher in art school taught me, I remember him telling me, you can watch me draw all day. You will not learn until you pick up a pencil and you draw. So I recommend that exact same mantra, I guess, of life is drawing takes practice, and you have to know how to, move your pencil and make it work for you. So definitely practice, practice, practice. So right now we are just graphing in his eyes. Dopey has very expressive eyes. What's everyone's thoughts on Dopey? Do you think he can talk? He can't talk? What's the deal? I think that Dopey just doesn't he scream in the movie? I think he does scream, which I found very interesting when he saw Snow White in their beds. And I always kind of like to give the character their eyes early on, just because that's immediately where the audience looks on a character is their eyes. So right now I'm going to stop there. I know it looks very funky, but I promise you that this will turn into Dopey. Okay, so right after the cheeks, let's come down here and let's give him his smile. Dopey has a really nice big smile. I really liked Dopey as a kid. I just loved that he loved Snow White so much. Dopey would have done anything to get a kiss on the lips from her. I thought it was so fun. And these original characters made by the Walt Disney Animation Studios were just beautifully, beautifully unique. And this isn't the first dwarf actually made by Disney. A lot of the early Silly Sympathy videos and movies had dwarfs. So Disney really took liberty and made these characters unique when they made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which, by the way, was one of my favorite movies as a child, even though I was scared, so scared of that witch. She was pretty horrific. All right, so let's give Dopey some cheeks. I have to watch it because Dopey's cheeks actually curve up, where a lot of his fellow dwarfs, they've curved down. So I definitely think that Dopey is the youngest of the dwarfs. He doesn't even have a beard either. He's very unique. And if you're just joining, hello, welcome. Happy to have you. I'm new to the whole live streaming thing, so you have to bear with me if I can't read your comments. I honestly don't even know how. But happy to have you draw along, or I'm just happy to have you watch and hang out with me this evening. What's everyone's favorite part of Snow White? is there a favorite scene, a favorite song? Because there are a lot of songs in Snow White. I always have really enjoyed the dwarf's Diamond Mind. I thought it was just, I really wanted to go there as a kid, and if only Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train in Florida could have been around as a kid, that probably would have been my heaven. Um, all right, so let's just give Dopey his shirt, and I'm just gonna do. I'm not gonna go too crazy into this. I just really want to show everybody how to draw Dopey. Let's give him his huge ears, shall we? Or let me think. Should we give him his hat first? Let me start actually with his hat. His hat starts around here. What does everyone think about the Seven Dwarfs hats? I always thought they were really fun. They should sell them at the park. I wonder why they don't. I wonder if they're hard to make. You know, I really love the dwarfs' costumes in the park, but that would be my one, I wouldn't say complaint, but recommendation is to update their the character heads of the dwarfs. I think that they could be just a little better and a little bit more animated. Who's the most recent character that they redid? I know that they redid Goofy and Chip and Dale, but they always redo them for like live stage shows, which I think is really neat. But definitely, the dwarfs are in need of an update. When I worked in character heads, I remember actually seeing the dwarfs at the warehouse. So a lot of times, if the character is not out and about in the parks very often, obviously they go into storage. And I remember going into that storage and being so curious and nosy. And I remember seeing the dwarfs' costumes in storage, and I was really sad. I'm like, "Aw, I wish that, they would be out and about because they deserve to be. These are the originals, right?" All right, let's see. And his hat kind of goes like this, and then another little hump, and then yeah, these dwarfs' hats always have defined gravity. They always stick way up. They're so fun. Alright, so let's go in and give Dopey his animation finishing touches, and I believe we have a dwarf on our hands. What does everybody think? Again, this is just a really quick sketch of Dopey. Let me see. Give him his eyes, heart, and the eyes into the soul lies in the eyes of any character. So definitely have fun. Hey Gilbert, thank you so much. My friend Gilbert here was an Imagineer at in Glendale, and he sculpted so many amazing characters. So go check out his Instagram. I follow him, and he's just a talent. You should do this, Gilbert. You are quite the artist. He actually sculpts a lot of things for zoos, too, that I saw recently. Okay, so there is Dopey, looking really happy and full of life. So next, I want to draw. Let me see what other dwarf is really popular. You know what? Let's do Grumpy. Let's do Grumpy. This time I'm going to do full body, not just a head. Okay, so I'm going to give you a little bit more to look at. So let's put his face about here. And let's see. Let's have Grumpy looking slightly this way. Yeah, let's do that. All right, so Grumpy. Oh, you're welcome, Gilbert. You're such a talent. Okay, so Grumpy has. I always thought it looked like a potato. His nose is I think it is the biggest nose of the dwarfs. So I think I looks something like this. And again, if you're drawing along, bear with me. I'm just trying to graph in what direction Mr. Grumpy is going to be looking in. And we're going to give him a frown. So straight down. And there is no right or wrong. Remember, if you're drawing along and it doesn't look like this, it's okay. Because we're not getting paid. So if Walt walks in, that would be reason to be scared. I would have loved to have worked at Disney at that time with those original animators. I always have felt like I was born in the wrong time slightly. And if anybody else feels that way, let me know, because sometimes I wonder, am I crazy when I feel that sort of way? Like, what do you mean you feel like you're born in the wrong time? But I do. I feel like I was born 100 years too late for a lot of the passion that I have found that I really enjoy. Let me know if I'm not alone there. So I am going to give Grumpy his eyes. And Grumpy, his eyes are just the standard Disney eye, but you have to really watch it, because with eyes, this means anger, right? You automatically know this is mean. This is sad when eyes go like that. You know, happy, surprised. You know, the pupil will shrink, it'll grow, sleepy, or even sexy. The eyelid comes down. So those are some fun tips. Okay, so let's go with his eye. Let's make it really dramatic and curve up and arch it. And Grumpy actually has hair distinctly drawn on his eyebrows. Oh, you did, Gilbert? Yeah. Who is your favorite Disney original wed Imagineer? Mine, I've said it a million times on this channel, so if you're watching over and over, I'm sorry. I sound like a broken record, but mine has to be Blaine Gibson. By far. He was just so creative and just such a genius with what he could do with his hands, with sculpting. I mean, truly, a lot of these characters that we see in the parks today, he created, and wow, just I like to sculpt, but I mean, there's just I can't hold a candle to Blaine. Some people are just born to do certain things, and I know you, Gilbert, you are an amazing sculptor. Right up there with Blaine. Alright, so we're starting to get a dwarf on our hands. Slowly but surely, I promise you, this will turn into Grumpy. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs never got a sequel. What do you think? Do you think it deserved a sequel? I do. I think it would have been a fantastic addition to the Disney Vault, but I think Walt was against it. I think he was very protective, almost like Tim Burton with Nightmare. He's just like, nope, not this one, guys. Which, I don't know. Maybe he didn't know what he was doing, because I feel like a lot of times today people don't know when to stop, and it does kind of dilute the interests a little bit after a while, like sequel after sequel. All right, so let's really have fun with his beard and just don't be afraid to play with shapes. Let's see. Just straight down. Ah, yes, Mr. Mark Davis. Mark Davis started in animation. He actually worked on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which I'm sure you knew that, but I'm just amazed by Mark's career. And Alice, I'm so sad that we just lost her. All right, let's go in and erase some of these guidelines so we can see our Grumpy. Now we're gonna work on the body, and let's play with this shape. Let's see, he's gonna be basically curving, and the dwarfs do have a little bit of a belly on them. They must eat too many gooseberry pies because they were way too excited about it when Snow White mentioned gooseberry pie. They went crazy. I don't think I've ever had gooseberry pie. Is that real? I'm sorry, I'm such a dork. I don't even know if that's a if it's a real thing. If it's not, yeah, well, that's why. I've always really liked the dwarfs' costumes too. I remember saying in a video, but I'll say it here that when I worked in the character head department for a little bit, I remember the dwarfs' costumes, their shoes, were just randomly in the talent building, which is kind of right behind the diorama. If you're riding the steam trains at Disneyland, that's where like all the characters' costumes are kept, and the dwarf shoes were in there because I remember I had just started in there and they gave me like a little tour, like, hey, this is where like the costumes are kept. So if you ever have like an emergency or whatever, like this is where you go to deliver the costume that you just painted. So I was like, okay, cool. And I remember seeing the dwarfs' costumes in there, and I was like, whoa, there they are. There's the shoes that I've always wanted to try on, and I may or may not have tried on a pair of dwarf shoes. But that's just between you and me, okay? Never happened. I mean, I could have been like checking them, right, to make sure they were okay. No one was in there. It was really, really early. It's one of the joys of being working maintenance is no one was ever there. All right, let's work on his other hand. And as you can see, I'm being really light with how I draw. I'm not putting too much attention right now into anything because we could go back later and really define thumbs and all of that if we wanted to. Thumbs were always, and hands, difficult for me, especially in my early career in animation. So I learned the hard way because I told my art teacher, Glenn Hill, who worked at the Walt Disney Animation Studios in the 70s. So he got to work with some of the originals, not Mark Henn, Mark Davis, and he told me, okay, if I would have said that, this is what they would have made me do. So now I'm gonna make you do this. So I was drawing hands for 2 weeks in drawing class. So I was really afraid to ever say I don't like this or I don't know how ever again. But you know what? I thank him now because who knew, right? Like you only get better once, the more you practice. All right, so what should I do with this leg? Let's have it curb. Let's do something like this. I love their costumes. I like Grumpy's color too. They did just a phenomenal job. And they're little, they have little, let's actually go like this with this beard. Give it some texture. Their little ankles, they're so cute. Kind of just go like that and then dive right into the shoe. I love these guys because they're so cartoon. I feel like whoever designed these characters really had the fun because with people, like real people, they're not that fun to draw because you see the mistakes immediately. Or opposed to these guys, they hide. They hide really, really well. All right, let's have this one. Let's do like an animation shot, like almost like as if he was walking. Let's start over here. One designer that I was told that was really sloppy with his with his work, but obviously he is a legend, is Mr. Glenn King. Uh, I was told that the cleanup artists would hate working under him because he was just so. I guess the word would be like Picasso, where it's just very abstract with, this is where this went, and you have to figure it out, or you should know, sort of, scenario on how he would design characters. That's so funny because sometimes with characters and these animators that used to work on them back in the day, they they knew their characters. They knew exactly everything about them. And they were very protective over them. So here we have Grumpy. Very rough sketch, but you get the picture. And I really love action shots. I'm gonna sharpen my pencils and we're gonna move on. Let's work on Sneezy. I think we should do Sneezy next. What do you think? Or, oh, you know what? Let's do Doc. Doc's pretty popular. Doc was actually my favorite dwarf growing up. Sorry, Dopey. Okay, let's see. Doc has glasses, so that's a whole nother level of detail that I'll teach you. So as always, start with the circle. Let me move this up just a little bit. Okay. How's everyone doing? Okay, so let's start with the circle. I'm gonna have Doc looking this way. Let me see if I can move in, actually. Oh, okay. That's better. All right, so Doc, and let me know if you can't see. I'll try to reposition my tripod. Let's see. Bear with me, everybody. We're not drawing a bear, but bear with me. Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's see. Let's have him looking down, like over here. All right, and Doc, again, let's just do nose. His nose actually has a little bit of shape to it. That we can refine later on, but I think it kind of goes something like that. It's a very sophisticated thing to get wrong because if it looks wrong, you'll be able to tell. So I'm gonna just lightly draw in his glasses. Let me see. Maybe I have to do this by frame. Something like this. Yeah. Then his cheeks. Don't be afraid to ever draw over something because remember that it just helps you with depth later on, and then you could just erase, but you kind of can, now that this goes behind his head. Okay, so Doc, let me see. He looks like a mad scientist. All right, let's start with these eyes. So let's see, the tip of his nose is actually a little bit more pronounced. And his eyes are like Mickey's, but they're kind of thinner. And it goes something like that. And the other one fully shows. I love Disney eyes. They're so expressive. I love the Disney look, the Disney brand. I think they're just absolutely beautiful, these characters. So again, I'm just gonna really rough sketch. I am automatically could tell that was wrong because this, whatever is looking closer to you, this should be bigger than this. So this eye should be slightly bigger than this one. And this is looking really expressive. Well, you know what? Let's just go along with it. And later on, if it doesn't look good, we can always erase. Never be ashamed to use your eraser. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. He does look like a mess. Okay. Let's see. Let's put in his cheeks. I actually have never drawn Doc. I don't think I ever have. You could probably tell. Let's see. And like I said, simple. Simple mistakes. Now, Doc is very, let's just say, round. Not full, but round. Let me see. Something looks off. I can't figure it out. But let's just put in his mouth. And we'll see later on. If I can figure it out. Let me see. Let's put in his mouth. I love these characters. I'm gonna watch Snow White tonight. On Disney Plus. Is there anything new on Disney Plus? I don't even know anymore. I'm waiting for Agatha Coven of Chaos, I think it's called. I'm really excited for that. The thing is, they took a really long time with getting that out there. And I know they probably didn't expect it to be so popular, but geez, like, it took a really long time. I don't even think we have a trailer yet, do we? Kinda have to move a little faster to keep the public's interest or on something, because if not, they'll ditch ya. Okay, let's see. How are we with Doc? I'm telling you, it's the glasses. Told you they would throw me off, but I'm trying to be not so serious because this is supposed to be fun. Let's give him his eyebrows. Looks very cartoony, which is good. I love looking at a lot of the original, like, rough sketches of these guys. They're just very fun. Actually, I think Doc and Happy look very similar. What do you think? And let's give him his hat. It's very interesting looking forehead. Let me see if I can do these eyebrows justice. Something along those lines. I think the forehead might be just a little too big. That is why we have our handy dandy eraser. And a lot of people have, like, a lot of hate towards the eraser, but I'm telling you, everyone uses it. It's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're not a bad artist if you use an eraser or not. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. Let's work on this hat. I think it's starting to look a little bit more like Doc. What do you think? Let's bring this down. No straight lines, folks. Never no straight lines. This one. It's almost, I love looking at these original sketches because you see the circles. There's a circle that went right here. It's just absolutely beautiful. And they thickened the line and then reduced it. Oh, these. Who taught these guys? Or did Walt just get lucky with these original animators? Goodness. Because some of the things that they would do, it's just wow. I wonder if it would be possible to start a studio like Walt did today. Or would it just be like so expensive? Probably. Everything is today, even buying milk at the grocery store. It's insane. Yeah, we found him somewhere in this mess. Thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. You know, I've always enjoyed drawing as a kid, and one day I really hope to teach my children how to draw. One day, you never know. They could be the next Mark Hen or Mark Davis. For Mark Hen, I remember I had lunch with him at the studios. I had just gotten my job in the animation department, and I was like, oh, I wonder if he would read, like, have lunch with me. So I just went for it. I was like, let me just send him a message and, see what happens. And he did. He was like, yeah, sure, Royce. And I was like, whoa, okay. So dreams. And I told him, like, what was your inspiration when you were drawing Belle, and what was your inspiration when you were creating Simba? I love picking artists' brains. I think it's so interesting to see like what inspires an artist. Because for me, even when I'm at the zoo, I find that I am inspired. By the way, I was at this San Diego zoo, and there's this gorilla there that I was telling I guess it would be the gorilla keeper, like, hey, that girl looks like Kerchak. And then she told me, yeah, the Disney animators were here, and they actually studied this gorilla, and he was like, he's still alive, by the way. It wasn't that long ago, but this gorilla, oh my goodness, he has to be like in his 50s, which I don't know the lifespan on gorillas, but they were saying like he was pretty old, and he was definitely alpha because everybody was just like bowing down to him. And um, yeah, she said that the animators, when they were working on Tarzan, came to this zoo to study that gorilla. So I was like, wow, like you could really tell that this looked, like Kerchak. Which, by the way, Tarzan, another one of my favorites. What about y'all? Oh, I love Tarzan. I always have, ever since I was a kid. I remember, see, I was born in the 90s, right? So I was one of those lucky kids that got to see all of those amazing films in theaters. I remember seeing, I think the first one I remember seeing was Hunchback. But yeah, I remember when Tarzan was new, and oh, I just really liked it. It was kind of like one of the first ones that was just geared towards the boys. Is that fair? I know like Disney really doesn't like just go after like one particular sex, but I mean, let's be honest here, a lot of it is, princess and stuff, and I never had a problem with that because I always liked the characters, but yeah. And I'm just having fun now. I mean, I could have stopped, but I was like, let me see if I can give him a body. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. How do I zoom out all the way? Whoa. And I'm not gonna give him like a full body, but I just wanted to let me just do his hand, right? Why not? Let's just have fun with his hand. Let's draw on this thumb. And I often just do, especially for these characters, I just do this. And then I just bracket in what I see. So I see that there's this thumb that kind of goes like this. And I'm sure this is what animators did too at the studios. I really hope that one day the animation studios gets back to its roots and really makes new drawing animated features, because like 3D drawings and 3D movies, like they're great, and they definitely have like a place at the table. And I know Walt would have taken full advantage because he was such a visionary, but to just completely abandon your heritage, I can't believe it. So there we have duck. And this is gonna drive me crazy. Let me see if I can figure out how to zoom out. I zoomed in. Let's see. There we have duck. And I love actually studying these because these areas on the drawings, they're always darkened like this, because they went in and they were like shading tools that they knew, like, okay, these areas have to be shaded. Love that. Who else should we draw? Let's see. We have time for one more. Let's see if we can find somebody online. You know what? Let's do Sleepy. Let's do Sleepy next. So Sleepy's just going. Sleepy actually has the longest beard out of all the dwarves. Bear with me, folks. This tripod. I have an animation desk, and they really weren't built for what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best. Okay, so yeah, we have our circle. Now, Sleepy, we're gonna have looking this way. So let's have his face looking like this. And oh, you know what? I don't actually think what I said was true. I think Sleepy has the biggest nose out of everybody. What do you think? Sleepy or Grumpy? That's one of them. For sure. So I'm looking at Sleepy's nose. I'm like, dang, that's a honker. All right, so Sleepy's eyes are really fun. And I'm just going to graph them in. If you're just joining, hello. Happy to have you. I'm gonna switch pencils. Okay. I actually really like drawing with Blaisdells, but I have all of them packed away right now because I'm moving, and I never thought I would need them, and well, here I am, but it's okay. I will survive. And for this version of Sleepy, I'm really just going to bracket in pieces. I'm really not going to go too crazy with detail. Let's see. So if you're drawing along, which I hope you are, just know that I'm really just going to kind of hit the main points with Mr. Sleepy. Also, if you ever draw, and if you notice villains like Shan Yu, he has fur, or the Horned King, the dwarfs, if you ever see like these details on hair or on clothing, villains have sharp points. So Sleepy will have, they won't be exactly complete duds, but they're going to be way, way lighter of texture point. Just something to think about. All right, now let's see where these eyes are gonna lay. Um, let's see these eyeballs on. They're pretty dramatic. Oh, I like Sleepy. Sleepy, actually Chris's favorite character, which they both love taking naps, so I see why. Let's go in and let's just put the eyelid here. I'm being a horrible teacher, so if you're drawing along, I'm sorry. I always, people always tell me, like, you should really teach. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'd be a good teacher because I just go for it. I don't really, like, explain what I do. I just, like, start drawing and, you know, if it turns out great, great. If not, I start over. Sleepy has some major. See, that's the thing. If he's always sleeping, why does he have bags under his eyes? Does he not sleep at night? No, because he was sleeping at night in the movie. Look at this beautiful curve. Look at that beautiful line. It's like one line just sneaks into another. That is what makes a beautiful character. I don't know. I'm going to be a little negative here, but as of usual, like currently with new characters, they all kind of look the same. What do you think? I think that Elsa was kind of like the last unique looking character that Disney's made in a long time. Even like, what is that girl from Raya? She looks very similar to Moana, and Moana looks very similar to, you know, what's that other new character that's coming out? Asia. Like, what happened to really giving these princesses and these characters really unique looks? Like, what happened to that? Sorry, I'm being a little negative, but I just had to complain to somebody, and you're right here. So thank you for listening. All right, here we have Sleepy. Sleepy was easy. It was fun. I should have done him first. Sleepy's hats. Actually, I really enjoy Sleepy's color palette. I think it's really nice. Now let's go in and give him his eyes. So the eye should be like this. I think this has like the double line. And let's shade in these eyelids. And let's go back in. Let's see, where should his hat end? Probably right here. I love these hats. And, oops, my example. Let's see. Let's just make it curb right here. Such a beautiful character. I'd be so ecstatic if Disney were to come out with characters that look like this today. I'd be like, finally, back to your roots. Sorry if I'm complaining, y'all. Disney's in a really weird funk today. I don't even know what to say. I hope that they humble themselves and go from there. There is Sleepy. That was fun. Let's see. Who else should we do? Should we try Sneezy? Let me look online. Let me see if I can find a picture of Sneezy that's not too chaotic. Okay, this one's fun. Very, very loose. So let's start with the circle. My dogs are crying. They're like, why didn't you bring me inside? I'm like, because I'm drawing, sorry. all good. It was hot today. It's been very hot. This is a crazy drawing, and this is an original. I'm drawing off of an original piece from the animation studios, and wow, this could be done as a study. Look at this. Like these lines, like these guys just knew what they knew their characters. My goodness. All right, let's see. Little pinches of fat. Then they curved up. Promise you this will look like something eventually. Bear with me, folks. Sorry if I sound like a swamp frog. I guess I'm not used to doing this much talking. Let's see their cheeks. Come over here. Let's do this smile because wow, the smile's fantastic. It just says so much lines to it. Look at this. Wow, this is fantastic. This character, no wonder they just popped out. Love these dwarfs. I was a dwarf for Halloween when I was a kid. Back when I was a kid, they actually used to sell a lot more Snow White merchandise than they do now. Now everything's frozen. Frozen. They're kind of like whatever else existed before, it just don't matter. Because Frozen is what sells. Frozen 3, folks, what do you think? It's happening, I'm sure. Disney doesn't know what else to do but just make more of what they know. I want new stuff. I want new characters to love. Come on, I know you can do it. You have amazing talent there. Give me new stuff. All right. Like, look at this line. This is just fabulous. It curves right up here. It just continues on forever. Curves up here like, oh, this almost looks like the Mad Hatter. This is just fantastic. And this is Sneezy, by the way, drawing off of an animation sketch that I have in front of me, and it's just beautiful. Gosh, I really wish I could have picked these guys' brains. You know who did do that is an animator at the studios named Andreas. He picked the brains of Ole Johnson, and I forgot who the other character was, but there's this whole documentary about it on Disney Plus, and I'm like, yep, that was smart because they know a lot more and they can teach you. And he went on to create amazing characters such as like Yzma and Jafar. So that's why I love talking to like old people in general. Like, teach me so I don't have to make that mistake. You already made it, so what was there to learn? All right, so I think Sneezy, I just got through sneezing. This is probably when they first walked back into the cottage, and he was like, thanks, and they're like, quiet, you fool, you want to get us all killed? I think this is that scene. I think there's 24 drawings per second in an animated movie. Think about that. 24 drawings a second. That's just wild. So Sneezy is all over the place. But what I really like about this is his body. So we're going to lower this just a little bit because his body is just very... Let me see. Should I move this? I want to make sure you guys can still see. So, and again, I'm just going to go in lightly and just bracket everything. That way, it's easier. So they have their little belts. shirt. You know, before the Disney company moved just strictly to the animation studios here in Burbank, they had a sister campus in Florida. And I think what was made there, I think Aladdin. And the guests could actually watch the animators draw and actually make films, which, I mean, how amazing is that? But I don't know if people would still do that anymore. Like, would this be, would they watch people draw when they're at the park? Would that be of interest to them? I don't know why they took that away. One of my favorite shows was actually filmed there, and if you've never watched this, please go watch this. It's on Disney Plus. It's called Adventures in Wonderland, and it was made in the like 90s, and oh, it's just so good. And again, I'm just going really crazy with the lines. I'm not too worried about anything right now because we're just having fun here. We ain't getting paid. Maybe one day. Yeah, this body, wow. This is so fun. Let me see if I can go back up here. Show you guys. It's easy. Who next? One more sheet of paper. Actually, I have two. Okay. Who next? I will draw whoever you comment. Two pencils. Let me see if I can even see your comments. All right, let me see. Let me see who else I can draw. Let's Snow White. All right, I'll draw her. Let me look up a picture of her. I drew her, I think, for a video on this channel. Let me see. She looks so different now than the way she did in the film. I'm trying to find a 1937 sketch. Didn't Mark Davis work on Snow White? It looks like his work. All right, I found a picture that it's modernized, but I feel like it looks like her enough. All right, let's see. Now this isn't going to be that much fun because she's a human, and she has to be, like, if anything's wrong, it just shows really, really easily. Let me see if I can get you zoomed in. But I'll draw her. You're welcome. Let me see. Let's say she's looking this way. So very soft features. Very, very soft. So usually mouth, nose, eye. That looks horrible. I'm just trying to explain to people. Okay. So let's draw Snow White. Let's draw Snow White. Let's actually have fun with her. Doesn't always have to be so serious. She is the fairest of them all. Imagine having that title. Like, is that self-proclaimed? Like, who gave that to you? It's proclaimed by Walt. Okay. Now let's start with the facial features. Her eyes kind of sit here, so let's put them in, and then they're very interesting eyes. They look different in this drawing than they do in the movie. These are kind of like aerial eyes, but what are you gonna do? Let's just sketch and see how it goes. I actually really enjoy Snow White's color palette. I really love the red cape with the yellow. I think it's pretty. So eyelids, these areas kind of need a match, at least where they start. And it's so interesting because in this drawing, it almost looks like they curve up like Jasmine. Whoever did this new Disney consumer product version of Snow White, I want to talk to you because it's really not how she looked in the movie. Okay. They modernized her. They moved her bow. How dare they? I'm just kidding. They could do. I mean, who's technically like the owner of her? Somebody has to be. I know the studios, but like who would they have to get like permission to change her? I wonder. Alright, so there's one eye. There's two eyes. So she's looking up. And then her eyebrow starts here. But again, in the movie, I think it starts a little higher. But let's just go on brand. Her nose. Do they teach people in the Animation Academy? Like, obviously they teach people, but do they teach you how to draw people? I don't know. I've never actually been in there when they've drawn people. I wonder what the animators did. Because, oh, you know what? They probably just listened to music. I was going to say, what do they do without, TVs or anything or iPods when they were in their shops? When they were making these characters, but I'm sure they always had radios. I wonder, were they allowed to listen to radios while they worked? I wonder. All right, this is the thing. Like her mouth doesn't look right in this drawing that from where I'm sketching, but because didn't she have smaller lips than this? Well, I'll draw it. It's like I don't want to do it because to me it doesn't look right, but okay. And I would have loved to have worked on this movie. Oh, there's really nobody that's like an entrepreneur these days that are starting an animation company, is there? 'Cause if there is, somebody let me know because I want to go work for them. It'd be so fun. All right, so let's. And like I said, these aren't as fun because they have to look like you just know if something's wrong. A lot easier than if it's like a mouse or something. I even think Mark Davis said that like they had the real fun. The people that worked on characters like that. I think that's honestly what I would do if I ever worked at the studios. It's like just give me the side characters, give me the mice. So I want to have fun. I don't want to be stressed out. But what an honor to work on like a main character. What an honor. I love walking through Legends Hall. Such like you just get this sense of like wow, so much talent. So much talent. Even at the Imagineering, I loved walking around there. You just got the sense of like all the amazing artists that came before you. You really got that vibe. I really loved it there. We're finally getting somewhere with Snow White. It's so interesting once you add this bow, you automatically know who you're talking about. Is she the only one with the bow? I don't know. Alright, and then it just kind of disappears into her head. It's very interesting because this goes like that. Okay. I figured it out. There we go. Telling you, all it takes is just a little bit of moving something up or down to really change the character's look. There we go. And let's give her eyelashes. And she actually has eyelids too, but we'll go back in later. There we are. And then really put in these eyes. Snow White has a lot of blush in the movie. That's one thing that I always noticed, which I think is beautiful. Eye dots, and now we're going to go in with the pupil. This is probably the part of the animation in-betweeners or cleanup artists that, wow, I don't think they got enough credit because imagine doing these 20 frames per second or whatever. Like, boy. No, senor. So let's just darken it in. Normally I would give her like a shiny lip and stuff, but your boy is tired. And it's showing, but you know what, this is just for fun. Alright, now let's go in and darken these areas. I really need to get a pen, because that would really help sell this darker area. give her just a little bit of blush. Just little circles. And then to darken her nose, ever so slightly. You could go ahead and erase guidelines if you'd like. And since her hair's black, I am going to take the time to sketch it all in, just to really help your illustration. And you could color it too if you'd like. Color your work, it's always fun to color. Really brings it to life into the next level. Alright, I think we have Snow White in our hands. What do you think? I know I had a pen here somewhere. I wonder where it went. Oh, thank you, Gilbert. Thank you. And again, I could be here all day making corrections, but this is just for fun. This isn't for sale. This is just for fun. Oh, she doesn't have her cape on here. Because I noticed that sometimes it's like there would be a line here and then her cape would be flowing or something. But yeah, here we have Snow White. It's very interesting because Snow White, her bridge of her nose doesn't really show. And let me give you an example over here. If I was doing Ariel's nose. Let me see, is Ariel 16? It's always important to know the age of your character because that changes the look. But Ariel's nose would go like this, and then it's like the bridge of her nose went like this. It was just such a insane line, and then her eyebrow would be way up here, and she just has huge fish eyes, right? And then like it's just so different how the noses look compared to any character. But there we have Snow White. I hope you all have enjoyed this 68-minute drawing video. I hope that you all have a wonderful night, and I will catch you in the next one. Let's see if I can get this off the tripod. I will catch you next time. I'm going to try to do drawing videos like this at least once a week. Let's do a recap. You have a good night too, Gavin. Here we have Sleepy. Not Sleepy, Sneezy. Sorry. He was fun. And here we have Sleepy. Next, we did Doc. There's Doc. Doc could have came out a little better, but it's all good. Next time. Then we had Grumpy. There's the Grumps. And then we started out with Dopey, which he was a lot of fun. And I always keep my characters that I did recently for drawing videos here, which I actually have quite a bit. If you haven't watched Tiana, go watch it. I did Asia recently. What else did I do? Oh yeah, Big Al, he was fun. Didn't I do... Where'd Henry go? Let's see. Oh yeah, there's Henry. He was a lot of fun. Trying to do parks mixed in with Disney animation. But until next time, dreamers, always remember not only to follow your dreams, but to chase them. I hope you have a wonderful night.